is the Police Department monthly report. Good evening.
Good evening. Just start with the monthly report to make a comment to Alder Boyer. We did finally get our reimbursement back from the state of Wisconsin in the amount of $10,629. So we are square with the state of Wisconsin.
Oh, that's good.
Also, we had a fairly significant accident at the intersection of Highway 16 and Hugh Dickey Drive by Recreation Park there, where a vehicle pulled out in front of a dump truck. I'm having a traffic safety engineer take a look at that intersection simply for the purpose of being provided some advice as to how we might slow that traffic down coming from town and going out between that city speed zone and coming up on 55. That intersection is just a short distance from that 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. So I'm going to take a look at that to see if we can do something to make that a bit safer there.
Are you able to inform us whose dump truck it was? It wasn't one of ours, was it?
No. I could, but I don't remember.
Oh.
Okay, working with Natalie Carlisle from the Monroe County Safety Coalition. She's the person who coordinates the Drug-Free Communities Grant. We're working on putting together a community forum to be held in the latter part of February, just to bring a greater amount of awareness and attention to the use of heroin and prescription drug abuse, with also providing information to the community about some past narcotics investigations that we've had that occurred here in the city of Tomah. So you can look forward to additional information on that. That'll be the latter part of February. As Director Allen indicated, Lieutenant Nicholson provided information to the Tomah Area Ambulance Service along with the Tomah Chamber of Commerce. We sponsored a breakfast and learn with, and also provided information to the Tomah Lions Club on the new carry concealed weapon statutes. So he did a very nice job providing that information. I also want to make comment on an incident that occurred whereas an individual from town overdosed on heroin, and Officers Hintz, Keller, and Sergeant Weaver responded to the 1200 block of Christie Lane and provided some assistance with that overdose, and that individual was experiencing certainly a significant amount of medical issues, and they provided medical assistance and CPR until the ambulance personnel arrived. So I want to send out my appreciation to them for their involvement in that incident. Any questions on the report?
Yes. You had training in November. Could you explain a little more about what was involved in the training?
Which
the Monroe County Combined Tactical Unit Training Report.
Sure.
I mean, I read through this.
Yep.
Does the first portion of the training was a review and update on tactical and medical issues based on information? What does that mean, the tactical medical issues?
Well, during the course of tactical operations, okay, there's a significantly higher risk, whereas medical attention might be needed for those individuals who are tasked with high-risk entries, whether they be high-risk warrant entries, search warrants for narcotics investigations, those types of activities. So those individuals that we have responsible for those entries and the danger that related to those entries may incur a higher risk of injury during the course of those operations. So
are you talking about like if somebody is asthma or something that could be affected by tear gas, that type of thing?
You know, it could be something of that nature, but more so injury from a firearm or shot during the course of an entry, something of that nature, so that they have...
So if somebody is injured, then you respond immediately with medical life-saving
They do, right. We use, one of the items that we have is called Quick Clot. It's a powdered substance used to stop bleeding immediately. So those officers train together so that they can provide that immediate medical attention and then do an extraction as quickly as possible, and then certainly to the hospital as quickly as possible, if in fact one were to be shot.
Well, that's good to know. And what also was the other question I had was the part about the TPD personnel qualifying on the SL6 37 millimeter less lethal projectile launcher.
Yes.
What is that?
I wish I had it here to show you, but it's a weapon that would be probably about 2.5 to 3 feet long. It has a canister on it that holds 6 cartridges. The cartridges are 37 millimeter cartridges, and it shoots a rubber projectile. So it's a less lethal projectile used to stop an individual from harming himself, but potentially, and we use it in that manner, or disarming an individual. But it's just one of those tools that we have in our, I guess, toolbox in order to resolve a situation in a manner in which might cause for the least amount of injury to either the suspect or to the officer.
Has it been used before yet?
We have used it, yes. If you're looking for someday to actually see it, I certainly could bring it up or show it to you if you wanted to stop in.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see that. It sounds like a very interesting piece of equipment, especially when you can use a less lethal, or I should say something that less likely to kill someone.
Understood.
Especially when
it's a situation where we would use that in a situation where we really have control and containment, something that isn't dynamic in nature, and we would have actually the time to be able to prepare, set up, and then apply it.
Would that be like when you're entering somebody's home or something, or would that be?
No. Simply would not be a situation where we would use an SL6 on an entry, no.
What about like, what kind of a situation would you use it for? In example.
I'll describe one that we used, North Glendale Apartments, probably might even be 2 years ago now. We had an individual who indicated that he was armed, was inside of his apartment. He came out. We used the SL6 to prevent him from getting back into his apartment to gain access to his firearms.
I think I recall that story as it was run in the paper. Was that the individual who had called because he thought his neighbor had been pounding on his door at 2 in the morning?
This was a situation that had occurred in late afternoon, early evening.
Okay, then it's a different one that I'm thinking of. How many types of less lethal equipment do you have? And is the training being done on all of them?
We train on every piece of equipment that we would potentially use. Less lethal, we have 2. Actually, if you want to include the taser in there, we have 3.
Okay.
We have the SL6, and then we have our shotguns that are loaded with beanbag rounds.
Okay, further questions? Chief, if I could clarify one thing on with Mr. Boyer bringing up the combined tactical unit, that's a purely volunteer type. The officers step forward indicating their interest to participate in that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
The combined tactical unit is made up of members from the 3 agencies, the largest agencies in Middle County.
if you could thank our officers for their participation and their stepping forward on our
Well,
behalf.
thank you.
Thank you.
That training with those 3 agencies, is this part of the training guidelines from the Fusion Center out of Milwaukee?
No, our combined tactical unit has nothing to do with the Fusion Center from Milwaukee. Our combined tactical unit is a group of officers who train together twice a month, who we call on to assist the day-to-day police officers with the critical incidents where we're serving drug search warrants or high-risk arrest warrants, or we might have a barricaded subject, something of that nature. Whereas it's something that outside of the norm that the day-to-day police officer isn't trained to work within. So we have these members of each one of the agencies who train together twice a month, who we call on to come out, organize a plan, and then come up with a resolution to that situation.
What kind of training do you do with the Fusion Center?
We don't do any training with representatives from the Fusion Center. We have 5 officers who are trained as TLOs, threat liaison officers.
Threat liaison officers? Do you know about the State of Wisconsin Homeland Security Strategy, 2009 to 2011, signed by Governor Doyle?
Am I aware of that?
Yes. Have you ever read this?
I have not, no.
I recommend everybody read it. This is the law for the state of Wisconsin dealing with how we handle Homeland Security in Wisconsin. And there's a number of issues that are in here, and the reason why I bring it up is because there's been a request to have considerable training in dealing with terrorism. That's why I brought this here tonight. There's a lot of issues in here dealing specifically with home rule and also how we combine with agencies, with the NCIS, to handle situations that occur. And if anybody's unfamiliar with the definition of home rule, it's the power to govern at a local level, known as home rule, has been formally delegated to local units of government under Article 11, Section 3 of the Wisconsin Constitution and Sections 59.3, 59.04, 62.04, 66.0101 of the Wisconsin statutes. Home rule is a fundamental principle and an essential element in the relationship between the state of Wisconsin and its political subdivisions. In Wisconsin, the authority to make decisions regarding disaster response resides at the level of government affected. Local units of government reserve and maintain the right to make response decisions on behalf of their citizens and the local environment. The state recognizes the authority and coordinates its activities to enhance response decisions and to supplement exhaustive resources at the local level. It also talks about mutual aid and assistance between the different groups. One of the questions I have is, I don't know what type of communication is occurring between the different agencies. I don't know what type of communication is occurring with Milwaukee and with the Department of Homeland Security, because they are working on a long-range plan for the state of Wisconsin, and I have read the long-range plan as it is presented in this report, and part of it deals with training for terrorism, which is what you have listed on here. You are requesting this.
Mr. Boyer.
Incident response to terrorism bombings.
That's item 21.
Well, it's also related to what the police department does on a day-to-day basis.
Sure,
which
sure.
is what I'm talking about right now.